Each company is unique.
Mind blown.
I mean, what's going to drive the most value for your company?
One of the things that I have found really interesting is how the meaning of AI and machine learning has really drifted through time. It used to be that AI was this larger, grander, theoretical sort of thing, like expert systems or explicit logic around, how to play chess. And then machine learning was a more probabilistic approach. And that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And then it kind of meant AI is neural networks and ML is everything else. But now it's almost become that AI is large language models. And the large language models are interesting because they're not even really AI or machine learning. They are an application of AI and machine learning to an enormous corpus of language-based data with a bunch of engineering wrapped around it, which is still a really cool engineering feat. But I think that people would be surprised to know how deep the layers go, where what you're interacting with when you're interacting with like a use case specific LLM based agent is actually like the very tip of an iceberg that goes probably 7 or more layers down from there.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're saying that AI and machine learning are the overall discipline brought to bear to create this experience people are having interacting with a large language model that's built, again, like you say, on this large, multi layered conglomeration of stacked technologies and disciplines.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that in some ways, AI has become more of a marketing term than a technical term, which is fine, but it's really ambiguous as a category, right? And so I think in a lot of cases, you're better served looking at the problem first and then having a conversation about like, okay, what's the shape of this problem? Based on the shape of that problem, what tools are going to be the best fit? And you can also work backwards, right? So you can do some exploratory work, like I have this incredible technology. Where does this connect with some of my opportunities? But I think that we are ill served to just go into the world and be like, I am going to implement an AI strategy. That's kind of a meaningless. You got to start with like, I'm going to try to make a change and an impact for my organization of this type. And I know that all of this incredible technology is available for me to be able to do that. Or I have a really deep understanding of what technology is available. And I'm going to look out into the world and see what opportunities that opens up.
Absolutely. You're speaking my language because with Talbot West, obviously, we help companies adopt these types of technologies in a way that makes sense for them. And we always start with what's going on in your company and what are the actual needs, what's going to make a difference. And that might not even be AI. It might be some type of automation that doesn't rely on AI at all. It might be some very deterministic, simplistic algorithm. It might be some type of machine learning. So it's like, oh, you need better visibility into your supply chain and able to predict when your supply chain is going to break down or is at risk. That might be some type of a predictive algorithm that involves machine learning trained on past data. That's not going to be a large language model. Oh, you need to generate marketing materials faster with a minimum of human oversight. That's probably going to be a large language model. So, what do you need first, and then scoping that to what the capabilities are that are out there that fit that need.
Yeah, exactly. And I think probably a lot of businesses out there would be either delighted or horrified to find out how many millions of dollars they could save with just a beginning algebra equation, right? So it's not always going to be that, but there's often a lot of cases where the right answer is here's the simple algebra 1 problem. You just have to look at it in the right way. So I'm in the machine learning space. Our technology that we've developed answers some really, really difficult questions within that space that are otherwise difficult to approach. But if there is a better solution with like a simple equation, I have nothing philosophical against that. In fact, I would recommend that kind of approach every time. But I think usually it's going to be in concert with a lot of different technologies. And that's where this question of architecting your strategy, both on the technology and the business side, really comes into play.
100%. Like, a huge portion of the work is just in correctly scoping and defining the problem, and then an overall strategy that ties a lot of moving parts together. These businesses are, or any organization, it's a very complex system with a lot going on, and there are a lot of unintended consequences if you don't properly scope all the dependencies, precursors, and adjacencies, rather than just come in with, hey, I have a technology that it's so awesome because I know it's so awesome because I'm the one who's selling it, and therefore it's the answer to every business's problems. And that's not the right approach.
Exactly. I think that people learn certain patterns of a tool that they're comfortable with. So I saw a lot of this with, and nothing whatsoever about AI chatbots for internal knowledge bases. Like there's obviously place and utility for that. But I feel like just because a lot of people had learned and picked up the tools to do that, that suddenly became like the big play.
You can architect out some steps on the roadmap there. Not every one of those steps might directly move the needle, but some of them might be important precursors to other steps that will move the needle. So if you're doing it as part of an overall strategy where you've clearly shown how that strategy is going to deliver ROI, then absolutely. But not necessarily every single step is going to directly tie to P&L on its own. And that's actually a lot of the problem we see is people are looking at individual steps or solutions in isolation from the bigger picture.
That is such a good point, because I think that what you're really talking about is this question of digital transformation versus these task level initiatives. And this is just my personal observation from watching this space. But one of the things that I think I've seen happen, say macroeconomically, is that during the zero interest rate period, there was a lot of padding of teams with a lot of technical people. And in order to justify that, I think a lot of organizations created increasingly siloed roles. And this wasn't just in tech, certainly tech experienced a lot of this. But within those siloed roles, the tasks to do became a lot more well defined. And it's really easy in an era where businesses are now trying to become more efficient to just say, oh, well, let's automate away all those tasks. But I think the more powerful thing to ask is, why did these tasks exist in the first place? And was there a better way to organize information and work across our organization? I think that a lot of businesses, as they try to automate these tasks with AI, are going to find that there's actually a lot of gaps that things are falling through. And that's going to open their eyes to what it would look like for the business to be shaped a totally different way. And then that transformation is what's going to create the real impact. The real transformation is not going to be the automation of tasks. It's going to be the transformation that is forced by trying to automate all of those tasks from the inefficient business model and seeing what falls through the gaps and trying to adjust and correct for that.
Oh, yeah, that's really well said.